Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you? Afternoon? No. We don't do afternoons in FM. It's just good morning. Even if you meet me at 6 o'clock in the evening, it'll be good morning. And then they go, good morning. Oh, it's afternoon now. So I go, why do you say good morning? All right. So they say if you go out looking for friends, they're going to be scarce. If you go out to be a friend, there are going to be plenty of them, right? So what you say, that's what people repeat. But today, I've got a slightly different topic, or actually, we're going to be talking about the skills. And before I start with that, I wanted to pick on a couple of you and ask a question. So, Julian, what is it that you do for a living?
I'm a networker.
Okay. All right. Louise, what is it that you do for a living?
I'm a networker and I'm a hairdresser.
All right. Actually, I thought it's not going to work as well, but you guys clued up. Ian, what is it that you do for a living?
I'm a network marketing superhero.
All right, fantastic. Now, luckily, I've been proven wrong, because very often when you ask people, what is it that you do for a living? They'll go, well, I'm a teacher, or I'm a whatever, and also I do this, right? So we are all network marketing professionals, right? Or whatever you choose to call yourself. I'm a professional recruiter for this network marketing company, or a professional builder, etc. So the reason why I wanted to ask you that is because network marketing is a profession. It's not a hobby. It's not a, whatever you choose to associate it with. It's a business, but it's also a profession. And a lot of people, unfortunately, they don't treat it like that. And they think that just because they signed the registration form, they just became a PhD in network marketing, right? Right? It doesn't work like that, does it? Right? And one of the mistakes I made when I first started in business, I said, I'm going to try network marketing. Or I'm going to try doing FM, right? And what's the mistake there?
There's nothing to try, just do it.
Exactly, try. Try is a mistake, because how many of you know a neurosurgeon in your area who's trying out being a neurosurgeon? Not many people, right? If somebody is earning above average income, they go all in. They burn bridges. They will spend 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 9 years at university to master the profession, where they can now open somebody's head and operate on it, right? They're not trying it, right? They've pretty committed to becoming one, right? But this is the reason why they can get paid the type of income they can get paid, right? Now, unfortunately, in our business, some people join network marketing and they expect to earn a similar income. We're talking £50,000 a year, £75,000 a year, £100,000 a year by not really committing to it, by not studying it, by not learning it, by not really fully going into it. They're still dipping their toes, right? They're still going, well, I've got my backup plan if something doesn't work out, right? And reality is that with that type of attitude, it's very difficult for somebody to really reach those. I mean, you can have a hobby income, you can make a couple of £100 a month extra, etc. With that sort of attitude to it, as a, if you treat it as a hobby, you'll make some hobby income. But if you do decide to go pro, which is incidentally what my training is all from, most of you have heard of a guy called Eric Worre, and he's written a book called Go Pro. Now, Eric Worre has done a lot for this industry, as in promoting it as a better industry, because unfortunately, network marketing, or generally a home-based business, have had quite a bad sort of reputation in the past, because with everything new, when you launch something new, and exactly the same when network marketing was launched 60, 70 years ago, etc., some people took advantage of it and did some stuff that weren't really good, and that's why they caused a bit of a bad reputation for this type of industry. So what Eric Worre is working on is actually making this industry better, making people professional at what they do, and making it. So this is why I've asked you, what do you do for a living? Because that's what I wanted to pick up, is people saying, well, I'm a professional network marketer, I'm also a hairdresser. I'm a professional network marketer, but also I teach, in school or whatever, right? Because this is a profession. So that's what we're going to talk today about, is the skills that are required. Now, I believe that success in business boils down to three main things. There's only three main things. Whether you have a challenge, or you have a success, or you need to do anything, or you want to do anything, or you plan to do anything, etc., it will always boil down to three main things. Number one is your attitude. So how does your mental machinery work? What is up here? You know, because I like to quote Italian fishermen, and Italian fishermen say that the fish stinks from head down, right? It starts rotting from head down, right? So exactly the same way I believe human beings are exactly the same. If here it's not right, then nothing else can go right from that. So attitude is very, very important. And also when we talk about attitude is, do you believe in this thing? Because I meet so many people who want to make good money, they want to get a brand new car, they want a better life, etc. But deep down inside of them, they don't believe they can do this thing. They don't believe really that I could be that Jasper star making £50,000 a month. Their brain cannot compute that. They cannot even imagine that from where I am today, I could be there. And guess what? If you can't imagine it, ain't going to happen to you. What will happen is that your brain will sabotage you. At one point or another, as soon as you start getting ahead, you start getting some success, because you don't believe you deserve that, or because you don't believe you could actually be making that and you could be the number one, your brain will do something where you're going to get lazy, or you're going to get whatever, right? You'll sabotage yourself in one way or another, where you go back to the being broke and you go, great, I'm back to where I belong, right? So that's number one, the attitude. Number two is the skills. So knowing how to do it, right? Because you can be the most motivated person and the most positive person in the world, but if you don't know how to do it, you ain't gonna do it, right? You know, I go, you know, if you take an idiot and motivate him, you're gonna have a motivated idiot. You know, it ain't gonna happen, you know? So just because you motivate somebody, they're not gonna succeed in this unless you give them the hands-on skills to actually work on, which they can apply to now become successful, right? We say, you know, it's like a recipe. Unless you get all the right ingredients in the recipe, it's not going to work, right? I mean, it's just not going to work. So you have to have the right ingredients in the recipe for success in business too. And then item number three is work rate. It's action, because you can be extremely well educated and still broke. Look at most of the university professors, right? These guys have degrees the size of this room, and guess what? You know, they're driving a 15-year-old Toyota and walking with jackets that are, you know, with patches on the elbows, right? They are skinned. I mean, look at business professors. I mean, let's forget about everybody else. Just business school. I mean, you have guys that teach people how to run multi-billion corporations, and they are broke because they don't practice what they preach. They don't actually take action. So saying about the recipe, you can have all the ingredients, but unless you turn the oven on, ain't going to happen. You know, your recipe is still going to be just a bunch of ingredients, you know, in a bowl. So that's where the number three, the work rate, comes in, is what effort you're putting into this. How hard are you working at this thing? How much time are you investing into this thing to actually make it work? So that, you know, I always say, don't let the information lead to knowledge. Let the information lead to action, right? So one of the things I'd like you to do today, you're going to have a couple of speakers here. You know, forget about a half an hour long training. Just take one thing. Out of every speaker today, just take one thing and go, this one thing, I'm going to apply it to my business after today, right? This one thing from this speaker, there's a bunch of stuff I've learned, but this one thing I'm going to go and actually put in action. I'm going to put it in my work, right? So these are the three things. So what I'm going to teach you today is number two, which is skill, right? I'm going to give you some concrete skills that you can actually, once you leave this room, you can actually put them in action and get some results and improve your business and make more money by the end of this month, or, you know, whatever, right? So that's what we're going to, are you up for that? Yeah. Say aye if you're up for that. Yeah. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right. So, the essentials training is basically 7 skills. So normally this training takes about 3 hours. We haven't got time for that today. So I'm going to give you a very brief, quick, summarized version, okay? So this is going to be just a skim through. If you really want to go in depth, then I would suggest you book yourself for the next full essential training when we do one, okay? But today we're just going to have a fast version of it, okay? So skill number 1 that we talk in essential training is what? It's finding prospects, right? So in order for us to start building this business, and as you know, this business is people business, right? One thing we need for this business is people, right? So we need to find them, right, somehow. And really the main thing about finding prospects, most people straight away think of going out there and looking for these people, right? But reality is that for most of you, you have people already available without you even leaving your home. This is what we call your list, right? So this is basically number one skill to teach a brand new distributor, but also yourself, if you haven't done that yet, is a list writing. Is sitting down, taking a brand new notebook. I don't suggest to take a piece of paper. I would suggest to take a notebook and start writing everybody you know. First two things I'd recommend to do is take your phone, empty it out on paper, and number two is go on your Facebook and put that all down on paper. That will be at least a couple of hundred people to get you going. And from then on, we have email, Skype, Twitter, LinkedIn, etc. There's loads of other places. And then you will be adding to that list. As you meet new people, you'll be adding people into that book, which people, potentially you will be approaching sometime in the future. Number two, about, finding prospects is launch. One of the things I actively teach people to do is launch their business. So what I mean about that, and it doesn't matter whether you've been in this business, whether you just started or you've been in this business for a couple of months or a couple of years, you can still launch your business. Now, what I mean by that is imagine if you were opening your own restaurant a month from now. Now, what you would do, you'd pretty much call every living soul that you know, and you go, guys, I'm opening a restaurant. I need you to be there when I cut the ribbon. It has to be packed. You don't need to buy anything. He said, but just be there, support me when I launch my restaurant, right? So that's the sort of thing you do. So exactly the same way when you're launching your FM business, and you might have been in business for a couple of years, but you haven't launched it yet properly. You told a couple of people, but you haven't launched it. So what you do, you basically contact everybody you know, and you go, look, Pam, I don't know if this is for you or not, but I'm now calling everybody that I know because I'm on a mission to build my business. I'm launching it, and I don't want you to come back at me a year from now when I'm making lots of money saying, why didn't you tell me about this business? So I don't know if this is going to be for you or not, but I want you to be there to see what this is all about, okay? So that's the sort of launch you do. You're basically creating this buzz, you're creating this frenzy where you're contacting everybody that you know, and you're saying, look, guys, I'm going on a mission. I'm starting something big. I want you to see it. I don't know if it's for you or not. It might not be for you, but maybe for somebody you know. So just be there and see it, okay? So that's the launch. All right. What's the skill number two? Anybody? Inviting, right? Inviting prospects, right? So once you found them, you need to invite them somehow, right? And usually you'll be inviting people to one of the two things. You're either going to be inviting them for a live event where they're going to come and either see a business opportunity presentation or a product demonstration or a training, or you're going to be inviting them to see a tool. So whether this is a video or a DVD or a CD or a brochure or whatever, right? So you're going to be inviting them to have a look at something. So what we say here, the importance is the third party. You should never be the deal, right? I mean, even I now trying to squeeze my brain and think, how can I get away from presenting, right? Because most of the time now I became the deal because people are bringing people to me to present to them, which is absolutely fine. But the people that I find, I shouldn't be really presenting to them. I should be sitting them in front of a video or in front of a tool or in front of mice or somehow, right? So you should never be the deal. You should always be pointing at something. So they should be getting. Why? It has to be duplicatable. If you have a team that it's not growing, the chances are you created a business model that is not duplicatable. You're doing something that nobody else can do, and that's the problem. So you always need to be thinking, can everybody do this thing? Is it easy enough for anybody that a 5-year-old could come and present this business? If it's not, that means there's something wrong with it, right? Because it's not going to grow as it's supposed to. By the way, this tip I've learned from a guy called Robert Hollis. Now, his team at one point used to grow about 15,000 people a month. Right? We're not talking, his team was about 500,000 people, right? And it used to grow about 15,000 people a month. And he said it was because the whole system was created so it would be easy for anybody. New person comes in and they go, I can do that. I can play a video. I can show this, etc. Instead of having for themselves to do all the work, right? However, when we talk about inviting, there's 8 steps to inviting. So if you're going to be inviting somebody to come to an event or to look at a DVD or a CD, etc., there's really 8 main steps to inviting somebody to have a look at something. Step number 1 is you need to be in a hurry, right? So the reason why you need to be in a hurry, because it reduces the amount of questions you're going to get, it reduces the amount of resistance you're going to get, etc. And it just makes it easier and smoother process when you're inviting somebody. So if you say, look, I'm in a rush, I just wanted to speak to you real quick, if you just say that at the beginning of your invitation, it'll reduce the resistance and it'll reduce the questions, because you just said to them, I'm in a rush, so I haven't got time to answer 10 million questions. Number 2 is compliment the prospect. The second step is always complimenting the person. Get in a habit of complimenting people. Hey, you look nice today. Hey, I like your sweater. I like your necklace, or whatever, right? Learn to compliment people. And also their traits. You might go, look, you sound like a very sharp person, or you look like somebody who could be really good at this business, etc. So complimenting people is really, really important for a couple of reasons. Number 1, it opens the door to communication. Guess what? Everybody likes to be complimented. I haven't met a person in my life who I would compliment and they go, oh, why did you say that? Most people like when you compliment them, right? So it opens this straight on, this starts this rapport, right? Number 2, what complimenting does, you can lead the person into what you're going to say through the compliment, right? So I could call somebody, I'd go, Pam, you've got so much experience in business. There's something that I just found I want you to see. Because of your experience, you probably would absolutely kill this thing, right? So I can use the compliment into leading them into looking at something that I'm going to show, right? Step number 3 is make the invitation. So this is where basically you're going to invite them to either an event or to have a look at a DVD or a CD or whatever, right? And when making the invitation, you're going to use step number 4, which is if I would you. If I would you. Now, the reason why you need to use that is to change the posture, because most people are begging in this business. They're begging for people to look at the business. They're begging for people to come to presentation. They're begging for people to do something, right? You don't want to be begging people, right? So you use if I would you. So I go, Diego, if I sent you a video, would you watch it? Right? Now, I haven't given you the video yet, right? If I sent you, would you watch it? Now, if he goes no, guess what? That's right, I haven't given it to you anyway, right? And Julie, if I should, right? And if he goes, yeah, I will, then I go, awesome, let me send it to you, right? So this way, I'm in control at all times, right? I'm not going, please watch this DVD and maybe join my business, right? I'm not going to do that, right? And I use that throughout, if I'm recruiting somebody online on Facebook, guess what? I'll go, if I sent you a video about this business, would you watch it? Or would you be able to watch it? Or would you be interested in watching it? Or whatever, right? I will always ask that question. I called a lady from Avon yesterday and I said, if I showed you another business, would you be open to it? Right? So I haven't showed it to you yet, but if I did it, would you be open to it? Right? So first I get them to agree, then I'm going to show them whatever I have to show, right? It puts me in a posture of control, right? Where I'm controlling. It's very hard for them to reject me this way, right? Because I haven't given it to you anyway. Okay, step number 5, step number 6, and step number 7 is free confirmations, right? And I'll give you a little example, then you'll get what it means. But it's basically solidifying that appointment in their head, in whatever, right? So I'll show you a little example in just a moment. And step number 8, which is extremely important, shut up. Stop talking, right? A lot of people do what we call verbal diarrhea, right? Where they can't stop talking, right? Once they started, if somebody's listening to them, they get so excited they can't stop talking. So what they do, they talk and talk and talk, and they sell the business. And they talk and talk and talk and talk and buy the business back, right? So it's what's called oversell, or other people would call it overkill, right? Where they do so much that they put person off. And again, I've been guilty of that before. When I would grab somebody, I used to work for 12-hour shifts, and I would get with somebody new, I'd go, ooh, let me work on this guy. By the time we finish 12-hour shift, guess what? He doesn't want to hear anything about this business anymore, right? Because I just overdone it. I just gave him too much information, right? So sometimes we can actually overdo it, right? So you need to keep it. So to give you a quick example, I'm going to give a quick ring to Kelly. So ring, 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 ring.
Hello, Gediminas. How are you?
I'm fantastic, Kelly. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Awesome. Look, I just got a few minutes. I'm about to go through the door, but it was very important that I catch you. Now, look, Kelly, you've been really successful in previous businesses that you did, and I've just started this project, and I need for you to have a look at it because I need your opinion, and I think you could absolutely do tremendously well in that. So if I was to invite you to this business opportunity meeting on Friday at 6 o'clock, would you be able to come?
That sounds interesting. But what's it all about?
So when you get there, I'm absolutely in a rush now, so I can't really go into this, but when you get there, they'll explain everything, okay? So could you make it for Friday at 6?
I'll just check with the kids, but I'll try my best.
Awesome. Now, the meeting is at the Icon Hotel in Luton. Do you know roughly where that is?
Oh, yeah. I've been there before, thanks.
Yeah? Awesome. So that was confirmation number 1. Now, when you get there, the car park is just around the corner there, so you can leave your car there. It's free car parking after 6 o'clock, okay?
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah? Awesome. And when you come, that was confirmation number 2, right? And when you get there, I'll be standing there at the reception. I'll be in a blue suit and I'll be waiting for you there, okay?
Oh, wow, that's great.
Awesome. Have a fantastic day, Kelly. I have to run now. Bye for now, okay?
Okay, cheers.
And I hang up, right? How long did it take? A minute or 2, right? So this is basically all the 8 steps, right? So the free confirmation, what did I do? I basically said the meeting will happen at this place, right? So I'm almost creating a little event in her head. And I'm going, so when you come there, you can park your car just around the corner. Now she's virtually thinking and seeing the location where she's going to come and park her car. And number 3, I go, I'll be standing there at the reception waiting for you, right? If anything, I'm going to make her feel guilty when she doesn't turn up because she'll be imagining me standing there waiting for her at this reception, right? But these confirmations, you can use it whether it's a live meeting or let's say I'm sending a video. So I'll go, Diego, if I send you a video, would you have a look at it?
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. When do you think you will be able to look at it for sure? Tonight. That was confirmation number 1. So if I call you tomorrow, you would have watched it for sure, right?
Definitely.
Fantastic. So what would be the best time to call you tomorrow?
Around 7.
Yeah, and this number is okay to call you, yeah? Awesome. I'll talk to you tomorrow, right? I just did 3 confirmations. When will you watch it for sure? If I call you tomorrow, you would have watched it for sure. And then what time is best time to call? So I'm creating this event in his head where now he's committed to watching it, right? Because I'm going to call him tomorrow and I'm going to ask him about that, right? It's a lot more than if I just said, if I send you, will you watch it? Yes. Okay, bye, right? What's the chance of them looking at it? Not big chance. Right? Most people, they're not going to look at it, right? So we're solidifying this. Okay. Skill number 3 is presenting. So skill number 3 is presenting. And again, it's extremely important skill. Now again, when we talk about presenting, we're talking about third party. You need to use as much of third party as possible. So you're either pointing at the PowerPoint or you're giving them a brochure to read or you're introducing them to your sponsor, but you should never be the deal, right? Because why? Because it's not duplicatable. They'll think it's a fantastic presentation, but I could never do that. But I could introduce to my sponsor or show a video, right? That's how I recruited most people when I first started. Those of you who are recruited when I first got started, I used to just show the video. The old school 15-minute FM video, right? I used to show that, they watch that, and I go, what do you think about that? And we would go, now I don't even say, what do you think about that? So that's how we used to recruit, right? And with presenting, what you need to understand is needs and hot buttons, right? So you need to, when we're presenting the business, we're digging deeper. We need to find out what is it that person need. What is their hot buttons, right? If I found a person and they say through the conversation when I'm talking to them that time freedom is important, then that's what I'm going to focus on. Or if they say that I want to spend more time with my children, that's what I'm going to focus on. So I need to find what this person actually needs. Otherwise, I'm doing what they call spray and pray, where I'm just spraying all the benefits and I'm hoping that they're going to go, oh, I need this one, right? So we need to find through the conversation what is it that they need, okay? And then part of your presenting is your story. You know, your story is extremely important because your story they will be able to relate to you through your story. So those of you who have heard my story, I always tell my story where, you know, before I started with FM, I used to work as a teaching assistant in a school and I used to be paid very, very poorly. Actually, I used to be paid less after finishing university and starting working in a school than before finishing university working as a security guard. So for me, that sort of gave me a big shock, and that's why I started looking. I thought, this cannot be it for me in this life, right? There must be more. But when I tell this story, guess what? A lot of people can relate to that. A lot of people go, you know what? I'm not being paid enough in my job. I feel underappreciated. I feel, you know, that there's more for me out there, right? So they can relate to it. So when you're talking to somebody new, your story will sell more people into this business than any facts and figures or statistics of the company, etc. Because people want to know, how did you went from outside network marketing to inside network marketing? What was your thinking? What was your logic? What was your reasoning behind you deciding to join this business? They will go, you know what? I can relate to that. But not, you know, statistics and facts and figures, etc. That is not that important, okay? So that's why really important. So number one is your background. What did you do before your story? Number two is how, what do you not like about what you did? So whether you were underpaid or you were underappreciated or you hated your boss or you hated traveling or whatever it was, there was a drawback of your job. Number three is how did FM came to the rescue? So what did you saw in FM that thought this is better than my job? And number four is what's your results so far or how do you feel about the future? So, our story now, we're at the position where we can go and now we've got so many people in our team. We've got a car from the company as a gift. We've got these trips to this place, etc. All thanks to FM, right? But some people go, but what if I just got started? What if I haven't got a car yet and all of these things, right? Guess what? Then you tell how you feel about your future. When I first started, we didn't have anything. But we went, you know what? I've never felt that as excited about my future as I feel now. Because now I see the light at the end of the tunnel. I see that this thing is actually going to help me to get out of the rat race, right? So you tell, because a lot of people, all they need in their life is just a little bit of hope. Because they've been beaten up in life so many times, they lost it. They think this is it. I'm going to die like that, in this house and in this car, etc., right? So when you show them a bit of a future, they go, wow, this thing could be really, really big. Okay, the second thing when you're going to be presenting is, of course, the business opportunity presentation. So that's not hard because all you're doing is either showing them a slides or you're showing them a video or something like that. The third type of presenting is basics training. So where you're going to be just teaching somebody how to get started. So that's, again, it's very straightforward because it's the stuff you're already doing. Basically, you get a brand new person started and you go, look, this is how you order your kit. This is how you place your orders. This is how you do that. All you need to do is just give them the basics of what you do already, right? Number four is inspirational training. So at some point, people need some motivational training or inspirational training. So that's where you or somebody from your team might be doing the inspirational training. And the last